My name's Mike Panetta. I'm here sort of wearing two hats. I work at a firm called Grassroots Enterprise where we advise clients in using social media and online technology to help get out their message and advance their public affairs agendas. But I'm also here as elected representative in Washington, D.C. I'm the U.S. Shadow Representative for the District of Columbia, and that's a position where I work to advocate statehood and voting rights for the District of Columbia. The most important point is that all this stuff is new, and people in government jobs usually have been there for a while, and they sort of have a certain way of doing things. And it's not like they don't want to learn or they don't want to do new things. It's a big boat to turn around at times. So a lot of people who are on this website or come to these events are usually on the cutting edge of things, and they're always on the latest and greatest. But that doesn't always happen in government, and that's sort of a good thing. You gotta if government can't jump on every social media trend that comes down the pike. So I think something to think about is let's as practitioners in this field, let's figure out what the good things are, let them sort of percolate, and then let government come in and take those best practices and apply them to their stakeholders. Government agencies have a lot of regulations on top of them in terms of how they can communicate, who they can communicate with. They can't have they can't exclude people, so they can't have something that's only available on Twitter, for example, because that could exclude 99% of the population. So I think what we're going to see though is some loosening up of that and some ways for government agencies to start experimenting with new ways to get their message out without fear of reprisal. Because a lot of good ideas sometimes get shot down because of the what ifs. What if we don't hit this community? What if we get sued? What if someone files a freedom of information request? Those sorts of things. So I think those which are important. But I think moving forward, I think government agencies should be a little freer to experiment in these fields. I think anybody who's watching this who works in a government agency or for a local government or is involved in advising those sorts of people is to realize that things don't change overnight, and is to sit down with them, develop instead of just throwing hey, you should have a Twitter page, hey, you should have a Facebook page. Think about why they want to do that. What's the goal? What's the hole you're trying to fill that exists right now, and then come up with a strategy to do that. And it may not be, at the end of the day, your strategy may change based on what the goals are. And that's at the end of any communication practice is who are you trying to reach and what do you want them to do. And social media is a great new way to do that, but I think it pays to step back and think about why you want to do it.